Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian from the Farnborough International Air Show outside London, and we have with us Stephen Phipson, who is the head of the UK Trade and Investments Defense and Security Organization. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, it's great to be here, Vago, of course, in this wonderful setting of the Farnborough Air Show, as usual.
I know people lament and complain about air shows, and I think they're the best thing going. So if you're lucky enough to go to a place that's as historic and legendary as this, and you like airplanes, you shouldn't be complaining at all.
That's right.
Brexit obviously is the big question everybody's talking about. You're on the leading edge of UK exports worldwide for both defense and security equipment. Talk to us a little bit about how this could potentially impact UK defense and security business interests.
Well, I think the impact is going to have to be a positive one. We've heard the Prime Minister and other ministers speaking about the absolute need for us to reinforce our relationships with our overseas partners, and that applies to defence and security as much as it does to the other sectors that we export from the UK. And so in terms of defence, we have many bilateral relationships which are continuing to strengthen, and we're present on many international programmes. We do not see that changing. We see the UK government being even more supportive of those relationships going forwards, and we hope that translates into more business for our UK companies.
The Prime Minister in his opening remarks talked about the necessity to have sort of a conjoined, sort of UK PLC sort of approach in terms of driving this. There is a division of labor between you and the Defense, the Ministry of Defense. Talk to us a little bit about how you're meshing together and distributing the workload to achieve a common aim.
Well, since the publication of the SDSR, Vago, one of the main points that came out in that was the reinforcement of the MOD's role in the prosperity agenda, and part of that, of course, is exports. So what I'm seeing, working together with my colleagues in the MOD, is an even tighter team arrangement going forwards and a real focus on our major campaigns overseas so that we're joined together at the hip. It's a much more cohesive effort than we've had before, and I think that's going to reap great benefits in the future for us.
Are you confident when it comes, for example, to Eurofighter in Qatar and a whole bunch of places where you guys are mutually working with?
I think we're getting more confident about all of the programs, Vago, and I'm not going to comment on individual ones for you because that's just not my place to do that. But I would say that this co-joined working together, this cooperative working together between the different ministries, is really going to result in some positive benefits going forwards. And I think that's excellent for all of these programs.
What are some of the key campaigns you guys are working on right now?
Well, we're seeing a few trends coming up, which are very interesting. One is a really large demand for maritime naval upgrades coming over the next 5 years. We have a lot of technology in that area, not just ship design and submarine design, but actually all the subsystems and propulsion and radar systems and everything else that goes with that, where we have world-leading positions. So we're pushing very hard on those maritime upgrade programs. And we're also seeing quite a trend in integrated border security programs globally as well. We all know that over the next 10 years we're going to see a continued increase in migration, and as a result of that, a lot of countries are considering how they protect their borders in a much more efficient way than just deploying lots of armed forces at the borders. And the UK, again, has a very strong position, particularly in integrating these technologies together. And this is something we think we're going to play a major part in the next 5 to 10 year period in terms of our export performance.
I know you're a little bit away from declaring your figures, but £11.9 billion was the number for both defense and security equipment, a huge number. About 1.5 billion of that was in the cyberspace, which we were just joking about. You guys invented that, so it's a great position to have. What do you think the numbers are going to be like this year? I mean, you guys have been on an incredible rising path for the last decade.
Well, one thing is important to consider here. I mean, these are long-term programs. The cycle time is typically between 3 to 5 years working on a particular campaign and program. And so when you look at just a 1 year snapshot, you get kind of a peak and a trough depending on where you are in those contract cycles. So we try and look at this as an overall 10-year trend. And if we look at that trend, we are pretty confident that over that 10-year trend, we're going to continue that rise in export performance in this sector. We have a lot to offer. But you will see it going up and down depending on each year. So when we do actually publish our numbers, Vago, I'd welcome the opportunity to talk you through that trend and how that's developing into the future.
What do you see, when it comes to looking at trend data? Globally, overall defense spending trends are up, aren't they? Because the UK is increasing its spending, the US is seen to be on the cusp of an increasing trend. Do you see that?
Yeah, we see that, and we also see a couple of trends coming out again. If we look at the pure numbers, one is there is a slow rise in defence spending, which is positive for us. We're also seeing countries now really developing their own indigenous defence industries. Good examples of that in different pockets around the world, and we believe we've got a part to play in that process, and that part is helping them with technology and IP as well as subsystems to help them, and of course joint ventures with our own defence industry to make those defence industries work in a very efficient way going forward. So we don't fear that as an issue. We see it as a trend that we can actually grasp and actually take advantage of going forwards. I believe the UK's got a very strong part to play in that whole area.
Stephen, thanks very much and best of luck.
Thank you very much, Fargo.